Hello everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Gates channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and hit like for more daily drama updates and spoilers. Your support truly means a lot and helps our channel grow every day. Beyond the Gates is moving toward a dangerous turning point, as Bill Hamilton finally catches Hayley Lawson with Randy Parker, and what he sees may completely change the course of their marriage. From Bill's perspective, the scene looks like the undeniable evidence of an affair, especially after so many rumors have already been circulating about Hayley and Randy. But the truth is, even darker than Bill realizes, because Hayley and Randy are not secretly involved in some romantic relationship at all. They are partners in a deadly scheme that has been unfolding behind his back. Bill may believe he has simply caught his wife cheating, but the reality is that Hayley has been trying to kill him, and Randy has been helping her carry out the plan. Now, after surviving everything they have thrown at him, Bill may finally be ready to stop trusting Hayley and start looking for answers. And once Bill begins searching for the truth, Hayley could discover that the man she thought was slowly dying is actually becoming the greatest threat to everything she has planned. Hayley has been doing everything she can to make sure Bill never walks away from this marriage alive. Yet somehow, the man she expected to die is still standing. This week, Bill finally gets out of the hospital after Hayley repeatedly pressured nurse Ashley Morgan to convince the doctors to release her husband from Garland Memorial. On Monday's episode, Madison Montgomery ultimately signed off on Bill's release, while Ashley sent him home with medical instructions and a rehabilitation plan that was supposed to help him recover from his cardiac problems. But almost immediately, Bill made a decision that could have serious consequences. He refused to participate in cardiac rehabilitation. For Hayley, that refusal could actually make her deadly scheme easier to hide, because if Bill suddenly collapses again, she can simply point to his refusal to follow medical orders and make it look as though his condition deteriorated naturally. To Hayley, every medical complication is another opportunity to hide the truth, and she seems convinced that eventually, Bill's own body will do the work she cannot finish herself. When Bill and Hayley return home, the situation becomes even more disturbing. Bill is sent off to take a shower, while Hayley quietly prepares a drink for him, pouring scotch into a glass, before adding a large amount of poison. She has already crossed every moral boundary imaginable, and now she is calmly standing in her own home, preparing another dose for the husband she supposedly loves. Then Chelsea Hamilton and Naomi Hamilton Hawthorne arrive at the house, completely unaware of what Hayley has been doing. Their presence seems to trigger something inside Hayley, because as she watches them, her imagination takes over, and she begins picturing the outcome she desperately wants. In her fantasy, Bill suddenly keels over and dies right there in front of his daughters, leaving Hayley to watch as the nightmare she created finally becomes reality. For one brief moment, it appears as though Hayley has actually won. But then she blinks and the dead Bill disappears, revealing that it was nothing more than a fantasy. Nevertheless, the vision only seems to excite Hayley further and strengthen her determination to finish what she's started. The danger escalates when Hayley meets Randy at Uptown, and the two of them begin discussing Bill's impending death, as though they are talking about an ordinary business arrangement. Hayley tells Randy that by the time she returns home, she expects Bill to be dead and no longer breathing, and she delivers the prediction with a disturbing sense of confidence. She even places her hand on Randy's arm as they talk, but there is nothing romantic about the gesture. What they share is the cold familiarity of two co-conspirators congratulating one another as their plan appears to be reaching its final stage. Unfortunately for them, Bill is watching from outside Uptown, and he does not have the information necessary to understand what he is really seeing. From a distance, Hayley's closeness with Randy looks exactly like the affair people have been warning him about, and all the rumors previously pushed by Chelsea, Naomi, Kat Richardson, and Danny Dupree suddenly begin to look believable. The irony is that an affair would actually be the least horrifying explanation for what Bill is witnessing. If Hayley and Randy were simply lovers, Bill would be dealing with betrayal, humiliation, and the collapse of his marriage. But at least he would still be alive to confront them. Instead, the two people he now suspects of having a secret romance are actually discussing his murder and the fortune they expect to gain from it. The enormous dose of poison Hayley placed in Bill's scotch does not appear to have stopped him, and that raises another disturbing possibility. Could Hayley have been giving Bill poison for so long that his body has somehow developed a tolerance to it? The situation becomes even more suspicious when it sounds as though Hayley gives him another dose before leaving to meet Randy, only for Bill to follow her and witness the encounter. He does not yet understand the truth, but something inside him is beginning to recognize that Hayley is hiding something, and that instinct could soon save his life. Once Bill realizes that Hayley has been lying to him, his anger could become explosive. Seeing her with Randy may convince him that his wife has been unfaithful, but at least it gives him the first solid reason to stop accepting everything she tells him. Bill may decide that he needs help, and one person who could become extremely important in this situation is Joey Armstrong. Bill could approach Joey and tell him what he has discovered, possibly explaining that Hayley has been seeing someone named Sammy. The question is whether Joey already knows that Randy is Sammy. But regardless of that detail, Joey definitely knows that Randy has been secretly moving around with Hayley, and that puts Randy in an increasingly dangerous position, because Randy has every reason to fear Joey. Joey wants to keep Bill happy, and he is unlikely to be pleased if he discovers that Randy has been helping Hayley murder someone within Joey's sphere of influence. That could give Joey a powerful reason to confront Randy and pressure him until the truth finally comes out. Randy has already warned Hayley that she is becoming too careless, and now those warnings may prove prophetic. Their entire plan was built around collecting $10 million in life insurance and dividing the money between them. But if Bill survives and starts asking questions, that fortune could disappear before either of them gets close to it. Randy may eventually realize that staying loyal to Hayley could get him killed as well, forcing him to consider saving himself by betraying her. If Joey gets his hands on Randy and starts asking the right questions, Randy might finally reveal what Hayley has been planning. That possibility becomes even stronger because Randy has already lied to Joey before, allowing Joey to believe that he was with Hayley. Now, if Bill comes to Joey with his suspicions, Joey may begin digging into Randy's story and looking for the inconsistencies that have been hidden beneath all the lies. Joey seems like the kind of person who can tell when Randy is not being honest, and Randy may find himself trapped between two men who are suddenly demanding answers. If Joey manages to learn exactly what poison Hayley has been using, he could potentially take immediate action and make sure Bill receives the treatment he needs to survive. That would be a major turning point, because for the first time, Hayley's carefully constructed murder plan could begin collapsing from the inside. The woman who thought she was controlling every detail of Bill's death could suddenly find that Randy is terrified, Joey is suspicious, and Bill himself is no longer blindly trusting her. One way or another, Hayley's poisoning of Bill is eventually going to come to light. If Bill collapses again, Madison may finally look beyond the obvious explanations and order the right tests, potentially discovering that something toxic has been entering his system. But even if the doctors confirm that Bill has been poisoned, another problem remains. Will Bill actually believe that Hayley is the person responsible? Bill has always carried himself like a man who believes women will want him, and his history certainly gives him plenty of reasons to have an inflated opinion of his own appeal. He has collected more than enough romantic conquests during his marriage to Danny, and afterward, to convince himself that he is irresistible. So if Madison calls him and confirms that someone has been poisoning him, Bill may struggle to accept the possibility that his own wife never wanted him and has been manipulating him from the beginning. That could make Bill's reaction far more dangerous than a simple call to the police. Rather than immediately reporting the poisoning, Bill might turn to Joey and ask him to deal with the person responsible. Bill is certainly capable of wanting Hayley to suffer for what she has done, but he has never been the kind of man who wants to get his own hands dirty. Joey, however, has no such hesitation when it comes to violence and what might be called wet work. If Bill decides that Hayley needs to pay, Joey could become the person who carries out that revenge. Suddenly, Hayley would not only have to worry about Bill surviving, she would have to worry about the powerful people around him discovering exactly what she has done and deciding that she is too dangerous to leave alive. But there is another possibility, and it may be even more satisfying for Bill. Instead of killing Hayley, he could destroy her life. Bill could turn the tables completely by pretending to drink the toxic substances she keeps giving him. Hayley would believe that her plan is still working while Bill secretly pours the poisoned drink into a plant or down the drain whenever she is not looking. Then, rather than revealing that he knows what she has been doing, Bill could take the deception one step further and pretend to die. He could lie motionless and wait for Hayley to find him, allowing her to believe that the murder she has dreamed about has finally happened. And when Hayley begins celebrating, convinced that she has finally succeeded, Bill could suddenly rise and scare the life out of her. There would be a dark irony to the situation if Hayley became so terrified by the shock that Bill actually gave her a mild heart attack. Bill could then confront her at the exact moment she is most vulnerable, perhaps looking at her with complete disbelief and asking why she was dancing instead of trying to save him. He would not need to perform CPR or call 911 immediately because, unlike Hayley, Bill would know exactly what was happening. The The woman who thought she had complete control over the situation would suddenly realize that her victim had been watching her all along. Hayley would almost certainly deny poisoning him, desperately trying to construct another lie. But if Bill played the situation correctly, her own reaction could expose her. And once he had her trapped in her own deception, Bill could finally take everything away from her. He could divorce her, throw her out of the house, and make sure she leaves without a penny, forcing the woman who came looking for his money to face the consequences of losing everything. In many ways, that would be the most fitting revenge Bill could take. Instead of allowing Hayley to die and potentially escape responsibility through another lie, he could make her live with the humiliation and devastation of losing the fortune she wanted so badly. He could strip away the comfortable life she believed she had secured and leave her with nothing but the consequences of her own greed and betrayal. Yet even then, there would still be a danger hanging over the story, because Hayley would survive. A woman like Hayley could simply move on, find another unsuspecting man, and begin the same kind of con all over again. That is what makes her so dangerous. Removing her from Bill's life does not necessarily mean the danger disappears. If she walks away alive, she could become someone else's nightmare. And then there is perhaps the most horrifying possibility of all. Hayley's poison could end up killing someone she never intended to hurt. So many people have been visiting Bill that the opportunity for a tragic mistake is enormous. Danny has been coming to see him, Chelsea and Naomi have recently been there, and even Joey could potentially stop by the house. Vernon Dupree also visits from time to time, meaning there is no shortage of people who could unknowingly cross paths with one of Hayley's poison drinks. If Hayley leaves a glass of scotch, a smoothie, or even a simple glass of lemonade sitting somewhere, another person could easily pick it up without knowing what is inside. The danger becomes even more terrifying because Hayley is no longer using small amounts of poison. She is apparently giving Bill massive doses. That means an accidental victim could become seriously ill or even die before anyone understands what happened. Tomas Navarro could potentially stop by at the wrong moment, or someone completely unexpected, such as the housekeeper, could unknowingly consume something Hayley prepared for Bill. The situation could become even more heartbreaking if the housekeeper brings her dog to work and the animal accidentally consumes the poisoned substance, turning Hayley's murder plot into an unimaginable tragedy. At that point, the consequences would extend far beyond Bill and Hayley, because innocent people or even an innocent animal could pay the ultimate price for her obsession with collecting the life insurance money. By the end of the week, however, the most immediate turning point is Bill seeing Hayley with Randy. He may not yet understand the full truth, and he certainly does not know that poison has been placed in his drinks, but he now knows something is deeply wrong. The sight of Hayley with Randy is enough to push Bill onto high alert, and from this point forward, he may begin questioning everything she asks him to do. Even if he does not yet realize that he has been poisoned, he could begin recognizing that Hayley is not the woman she claims to be. Her behavior, her strange confidence, her secrecy, and her connection to Randy may finally convince him that she has a hidden agenda. The walls around Hayley are beginning to close in, and she may not have nearly as much time as she thinks. That becomes especially dangerous if Bill stops playing the obedient husband and starts confronting Hayley about his suspicions. Hayley has already shown how far she is willing to go, and desperation could push her toward an even more violent decision. If she realizes that Bill is beginning to suspect her, she might abandon the poison and reach for something much more immediate. A gun could become her next weapon, or she could grab a fireplace poker and attempt to finish the job herself. She could then invent another story to explain the death, perhaps pretending that Bill simply fell and hit his head repeatedly in some bizarre accident. To Hayley, the method may not matter anymore. If she believes her entire future depends on Bill dying, she could become willing to kill him however she can. And that is why Hayley's time may finally be running out. The woman who believed she had carefully engineered Bill's death may soon discover that every lie leaves behind another clue. Every poisoned drink creates another risk, and every secret meeting brings her closer to exposure. The central question now is not whether Bill will eventually learn that Hayley is dangerous, but how close to death he will come before he understands the full extent of her betrayal. Hayley is undeniably ruthless, calculating, and willing to kill for money, while Bill, for all his flaws, is primarily a cheating jerk who has spent much of his life believing he can get away with anything. In this battle, Bill may have badly underestimated the woman standing beside him. Because Hayley is not simply another person trying to hurt Bill, she is a cold-blooded con woman who has already crossed the line into murder. She has a plan, she has a partner, she has a financial motive, and she has shown that she is willing to keep escalating when the first attempt does not work. Bill may be furious after seeing her with Randy, but anger alone will not keep him alive. If he rushes into a confrontation without understanding what Hayley is capable of, he could walk straight into the trap she has been preparing for him all along. For now, the poison drinks, the secret meetings, the $10 million insurance scheme, and the growing suspicions are all converging toward one explosive confrontation. And when Bill finally discovers that the woman he thought was his wife has actually been plotting his death, Hayley may learn that surviving her own lies is going to be much harder than she ever imagined.